Within the last half hour, NTSB investigators gave us their first update from the scene. The primary focus, whether something inside that chopper somehow caused the engine to fail.
A helicopter pulled out of the icy water this afternoon. The only survivor, the 33-year-old pilot from Connecticut. Friends describe him as capable and experienced.
We've also learned the identities of the 5 passengers who were killed. The oldest victim, just 34. Our coverage begins with Eyewitness News reporter Josh Einiger, live for us in Kips Bay tonight. Josh.
Well, Diana, Bill, we did just hear from the NTSB, and of course the takeaway is that there is never just one thing that causes a disaster like this. It's almost always a series of contributing factors, and they will be looking at many of them as this investigation gets underway. Behind me is where that helicopter was lashed to a pier, the seaplane pier here at East 23rd Street. We are showing you a live picture from Newscapter 7 of the chopper sitting at Industry City at the Brooklyn Marine Terminal, which is where NTSB investigators will be going over the wreckage over the next 5 to 7 days as they search for the answers here in this mystery. Video now as they were raising the chopper from the East River earlier today. That Eurocopter AS-350 sightseeing helicopter owned by Liberty Helicopters have been taking an open-door photo flight around Manhattan. The 5 passengers strapped tightly into harnesses that wound up trapping them inside as it hit the water, flipped, and then started to sink. Sources tell ABC News the pilot has told investigators one of the tethers from a passenger's harness somehow tangled around a fuel cutoff switch and tripped it, causing the engine to fail and the chopper to plummet to the river below. The NTSB hasn't yet interviewed the pilot, but will no doubt look into that, the harnesses and the inability for passengers to free themselves. And then there are the inflatable pontoons attached to the skids. They did deploy, but the chopper sank anyway.
One of the things about flotation devices on those helicopters are used, it's not something similar that you would see with a helicopter that has fixed pontoons. They're designed to be deployed by the pilot or in contact with the water, depending on the make and manufacture of the flotation device and the helicopter itself. In this case, there are 3 flotation devices, 3 on each skid of the helicopter. As you noticed before, when you looked out on the water, when the helicopter both came to rest and it was towed into the pier, that all 3 had deployed. Now, one of the things that we will be looking at with those devices is what the sequence of events was. As for the deployment, did they deploy properly?
Of course, if all goes wrong, if the engine fails and the chopper lands in the river, those pontoons are supposed to keep it upright and floating, but that did not happen, and they're trying to find out why. They'll be on site here in the city for about 5 to 7 days, but this investigation could take 6 months to a year, possibly even longer, before we learn the definitive story of what brought down that chopper.